Hey there guys, and welcome back to Planet Cryos, and also welcome to the new background. And this will and hopefully will be temporary, sort of a lengthy temporary, but nevertheless hopefully temporary. What I have for you today is a older HP PC built in 2013. It's got a mechanical hard drive in it. We're going to clone a hard drive over to a new SSD, and I'm going to show you how it's done, so stick around. Alright, so yes, this is the new background, and I want to take a second and maybe the next couple of videos, just so everybody gets a chance to see this and wonders why I went from my old background to this background. It's just because I had to give it up for a bedroom, which is good, it's great, but I had to switch out here to the kitchen. But now I've upgraded to a big screen TV that we have in the kitchen. It's actually on a rolling cart down here. I've got to pan this the correct way here. So yeah, it can roll around on the floor, so we can move this right out of the way. And guess what? We still have our She-Hulk build right behind us. Well, that's awesome. So I love seeing that. And then I've got all my speaker set up here on just some wooden crates. I got my toolbox back there still, so it's kind of nice. Girlfriend wanted to do some like Netflixing, Netflixing, I guess is how you would say it, in the kitchen, or if she wants to look at some recipes online, she doesn't have to go anywhere other than she can use her cell phone too. So the other update, just quickly, is over here. This is actually my new setup for my PC. This is my main PC, so I have 3 monitors now. This top monitor was the old one that was on that desk before. I got my 2 original monitors. We have, of course, my main, oh, there go my knees. My main PC is right down there, along with my speakers and just some other hookup stuff down there. So, and also, I love this section right here. We have, I have some just display stuff here, and I got my little Iron Man here, and it's kind of dark here right now, but I got a nice blue illuminating light. I still have to occupy here, and of course we have our AMD Ryzen right there. So, and then where I'm keeping all my PC parts now, which I had to switch, it's going to be a little dark, but hopefully you can kind of see in there. I have a bunch of PCs, or all my PC stuff in there. So that's where I keep everything. So, hey, let's get back on to the regular scheduled program. So guess what I get to hook up? A VGA cable. How exciting is that? We get to go back pretty far in time here. It's kind of funny. But yeah, this computer only supports VGA and DVI as external outputs. If you go way back in some of my videos, this PC represents pretty much identical to what I had back when I bought mine in 2012. This is a 2013. But yeah, it's exact same PC. I had the same problem. I upgraded to a standard graphics card that just had support for HDMI, or yeah, HDMI, and I had to do that. That was like a $40 graphics card. It doesn't have a fan on it. It just ran off of PCIe power. So anyway, I digress. We're gonna hook this up. I gotta get hooked up to an older monitor. I can't use the big monitor because I don't have an adapter and for that. But this still supports VGA. So let me get this all hooked up. Be right back. Okay, so as we get started here, what I'm going to do is I want to time how long it takes to boot. There's a couple things I don't know yet. I do not know how long it'll take to boot. I have to run Crystal Disk Info to check the hard drive status, see if it's any good. I also have to do a speed test with Crystal Disk Mark and see how fast the drive is, and also I want to know what the motherboard is capable of with the SATA ports, if it's SATA 2 or SATA 3. I'm hoping for SATA 3. He'll still get a speed increase with the SSD if it's SATA 2. We'll go from 80 to 120 megabytes per second up to about 300-ish. So that'll still be an improvement. However, I don't know what they are. We also have to do a backup, a crystal disk, or not a crystal disk, a Cronus backup before I do anything as far as doing a clone. So I want his stuff backed up just in case something unforeseeable goes wrong. So right now I'm going to plug this in. We're going to use a stopwatch, and we're going to start this up. By the way, what he's getting in there is a Samsung 870 EVO, and it's just a 2.5-inch SSD upgrade. I do realize they don't really mount in here very well, even with an aftermarket bracket. I haven't found one because it's an HP and proprietary parts and case, and it's funny, so you kind of have to just kind of put it where you can, put a little screw in it, and be done with it. So, yeah, let's boot this up and see how long it takes. All right, I got it plugged in. We're gonna power it on and hit our stopwatch here to see how long it takes on my phone. And I want to see how long it's going to take to get to the desktop. I went ahead and told them to take the password off, so there should be no password on it. But I am going to blur out everything that's on the desktop. I'm not going to show you that. I'll only show you the parts with crystal disk mark and all that. So so far we're at 25 seconds. So we're approaching 50 seconds now, and we're still seeing the we're still seeing it like this. So this is painfully slow when you consider anything modern or just switching over to an SSD. He could have some other stuff in there that needs cleaned up, some programs, or just doing a nice cleanup of his maintenance of his PC. I guess there's no point in waiting for all this. I'm going to be speeding along through this whole thing, probably just in the bits that I talk, because this is painful. We're coming up on, it's a minute 50, so we're at 2 minutes now. Not even to the desktop yet. All right, so we have his name popped up, but we're still not anywhere close to the desktop yet, and we're almost at 3 minutes. This is actually worse than I thought. At the desktop right now, 3 minutes and 8 seconds. But all the icons have not loaded in the taskbar yet. Still loading. Alright, now we have some icons that popped up. The little hourglass hasn't disappeared yet. I still have an hourglass on that taskbar. And we're at 4 minutes. This is so painful. I don't know how he dealt with this. But he does plan on building a PC and having me build one, at least I hope, in the near future, maybe within a few months. Yep, now I got no mouse again. So it's definitely got some issues. Yeah, anyway, I'll let you know what the time is when this ends. Yeah, so I've been stuck here at almost 10 minutes, and it's not the mouse anymore, or it is the computer, but yeah, something's actually wrong. So I'm going to have to force this thing off and try it again, because something's terribly wrong. All right, so I am now to the desktop, and it took about 3 minutes and 30 seconds to 4 minutes. There was about 30 seconds where I wasn't too sure because I was moving the mouse around and trying to get into the start menu and make sure everything was working. It's very slow, very sluggish. It's like it doesn't want to do anything. So, half of the problem is probably a lot of programs he has on here, along with maybe the hard drive's bad. So what we're going to do is actually use Crystal Disk Mark and Crystal Disk Info to check those couple of things and see where the hard drive stands. I'm hoping the hard drive's good, but it will make me it's be very suspicious. He's got some other things going on in there that he probably shouldn't have, or that's bogging down the PC if the hard drive is still good. Other than that, we're going to get going on that, so stay right there. I've got to just jump in here and say this one other thing. I mean, I haven't seen a PC this slow, and I'm sure lots of people watching have seen PCs this slow, but good Lord. I plugged in the thumb drive right here, and it literally took a minute for me to open up this PC for the File Explorer, and then it didn't even show the thumb drive right away. It took another, like, 15 seconds to show the thumb drive. Incredibly slow. So, and you can see I have two instances of this PC because I didn't think it registered at first. So, yeah, pretty crazy. All right, be right back. All right, so I launched the Crystal Disk info. If you're curious about that, I do have other videos on how to do all this, but this PC is working too slow for me to show you every step-by-step. I just want to show you the cloning part specifically, but his hard drive is actually showing good. It has 7,200, or it's a 7,200 RPM. Power on counts is 1,105, and the power on hours is over 76,000. That's pretty normal for a hard drive being this old if you're running the computer constantly. But it is in good standard running conditions as far as the integrity of the drive. But we're also going to check the integrity through a speed test and see what it does. But I'm going to look at some of his stuff that he has installed because something's really bogging this thing down. It shouldn't even be running this slow with a hard drive that is showing good. So it's got another issue going on. So let's do a speed check first. Alright, so far I'm kind of impressed a little bit. He must just have a lot of stuff on this. So we have a hard drive that is pretty good, it's good as far as the Crystal Disk info. The drive is healthy. And the Crystal Disk Mark is actually so far displaying in reads 180 megabytes a second. So he's got a pretty good hard drive in here for the time that it was. Now currently it's doing the writes to it. And we're at 177 first results right there that just popped up. So that's pretty good, surprisingly. He must just have a lot of programs or a lot of stuff bogging this thing down because he doesn't even have a lot of data on it. But there's something else on this. I know he's got Norton on here, which I don't like. I know that's one that bogs it down, but we're going to have to go through a startup menu and see what's going on there. There's the results, 180 and 182. So that's pretty good for the hard drive. So we're going to go and maybe look at a couple programs here and see if we can make it a little faster. I'm not going to delete anything, but I just want to see what's going on with it. So a little bit of an update here. I went ahead and deleted some of his apps and also checked in his programs and features. And within the apps, I deleted some of his all of the games pretty much, and a couple other little things that are just bloatware for Microsoft. I double checked in the programs and features under the control panel, and I also went ahead into a startup menu, and there was a huge list of stuff that was enabled where it doesn't have to be. If there's anything that he does want enabled again, we can go ahead and do so, but there was an entire list. I kept the important things enabled for updating stuff, security stuff, so that all is enabled, but everything else got disabled until you actually open up that app, and then it'll get that going for you. The next thing, I do want to point out that was a SATA 3, so we are good. So it is a SATA 3 or 600, so we're looking at a top speed, hopefully, of that SSD that we're going to be putting in, which should reach about 550 megabytes per second, which is awesome. We already increased the speed. And I am going to run the Carey optimizer for Windows 10 and see if we can get a little more performance out of this mechanical hard drive, see what the boot time is after that, and depending on or not really depending on anything. After that, we're going to go ahead and do our backup, and then we're going to clone the disk and run our benchmarks to see where we stand after that for our boot time and our crystal disk mark for the speed test. So stick around. Alright guys, so here's another update. I just went ahead and did a few things, which I'll say in a second, but we're less than 2 minutes. At a minute 20 from the updates that I just did, I was able to navigate in this PC a minute 20 in. And what were we in the beginning? Like 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes from the first boot. And the first boot didn't even boot. So yeah, so now we're good with that. I went ahead and did the Windows 10 optimizer. That's from Carey. You can go ahead and I'll put a link to that down at the bottom if you want to purchase that. It's like $7 to $10. It works great. I ran that. I also did, I cleaned up the storage sense. Can't think of anything else that I did off camera because that storage sense, or not the storage sense, but the Windows 10 optimizer, that took 10-15 minutes because it had never gotten run on this machine. There was a lot to do. So anyway, his apps are cleaned up a little bit. The Windows 10 optimizer is now in effect. So now you can see all of his icons, and it does a lot of stuff. You can check that out. Check out Carey Holzman's channel for what it actually all entails and does. Yeah, so now we're ready to do a backup and then a clone and see where this PC sits from there. I mean, right now it is 3 minutes and 30 seconds since it booted, and everything is completely loaded, is working faster than it ever did, but we're going to go ahead and put his SSD in, so stick around still. Alright, so now I need to turn the PC on, and we need to get Acronis started here, so I need to do start this up, and I think it's like F12 that we have to push for the boot priority. So we can start pushing F12, and hopefully it's going to get on, otherwise we're going to go through a long process. Alright, so I restarted the computer, and I had to hit the F9, I found out, not F12, like I thought it was, but that's fine. We're into the boot menu now, and we want to initialize the SanDisk. So we can boot from Acronis and not from, we got the Acronis loading right now. Oh, no, we got to hit 1. Yep, we need number 1 for the Acronis True Image. Now you're going to take, whether it's a large enough thumb drive, or you're going to take like an external hard drive to store an image on for your backup. And I'm just happen to be using one of these. I can simply use a thumb drive too, like I said. And we're going to plug this in to an available port here. I'm just going to plug it into the front here. That way I can put this right here. And we want to give the computer a moment to recognize the drive that's connected. And then we're going to navigate. I'm actually going to zoom in for you. Basically, to do our backup, we're going to go to backup, create a backup, disk and partitions backup, and we want disk 2, which is our C drive, and our D, and all. I guess we don't need the D, but we'll put it in there anyway. And the size of the backup down here, it says 248 gigabytes. We're not going to do sector by sector. That's perfectly fine if you have a drive that's the same size or larger. This is not. So we want just a, we don't want the E drive, we want disk 2, and we don't want disk 3, because that's the drive we're going to be backing up on. But this is partitions to back up, and that's the one we're going to select. This is all of disk 2. That's what we want. Now create a new backup, backup location. This is where we're going to browse. Alright, so now what we want to do is select the location. So you're going to hit the browse button. Let's see, up here where it says select it here. Customer backups, that's perfectly fine. We can generate a name apparently. Okay. Actually, you know what we're going to call this? We're going to call this the name of the PC, which is P7 -144 6S, and that's just going to be the name of it. We're going to select OK. That's going to be our location. We're going to hit next. And now here's the summary of what's going to happen. So we're going to go from our disk 2, and it's all those systems. And you can kind of go over these to make sure you got everything correct. It's just the sizes and all that. We're going to proceed. And there we go. Our backup has started. So after I started the backup, it took initially about 10 to 15 minutes. I didn't time it, just to see the progress bar start. And it keeps fluctuating about 55 minutes to about an hour. And so it looks like I'm going to be here about an hour, roughly. I mean, usually Acronis isn't perfect with the time, but being how slow it's going, I can count on it being about an hour. So I'll be back in an hour. Alright guys, so that actually took a couple hours, maybe 2.5 hours to do that. And I think the suspect is actually the USB port. It's just running slower than it should be. It really should have done this a lot faster. But nevertheless, the backup is done. And now we can close out of it. And let's see. Oh, is it going to do it for me here or what? There we go. So what we're going to do is, instead of doing that again for the cloning and how slow it was, I got a better idea. We're going to hook up the other SATA cable, or another SATA cable, and hook up his drive right to power in the PC, and that way we can do the cloning hopefully a lot faster. So we're going to shut the computer down and get this all set up. And as like before, we are going to power this thing up. We are going to hit F9 repeatedly. That way we can get into the boot menu. And we are going to tap down to the SanDisk. And we are going to push 1 for Acronis to load the Acronis True Image. And all you have to do is sit back and wait for this to load and populate on the screen. And now I'm going to get you in for a close-up and show you how to do the cloning. Okay, so the cloning tool is under Tools and Utilities. We're going to go down to Clone Disk. We want to make sure we're on automatic. And Acronis is pretty smart. It notices disk 1 is populated with information. And we have a 1 terabyte, even though it says 931.5 gigabytes, that is a 1 terabyte. And it does see a disk 3, which is the is Acronis itself. So Acronis is on this, so whatever. It doesn't see the empty disk because it is not partitioned, it is not formatted yet, it does not recognize it. But it is smart enough to recognize that. So, okay, select disk 1, come down and hit next. Now Acronis is going to analyze what other hard drives, SSDs or mechanical drives or anything large enough to fit. And it's pretty smart, and it will find the empty drive that is hooked up to now one of the spare SATA drives, or SATA ports. So if you just give this a minute, it will find it. Being patient is key here while this does its search. Okay, as you just saw right there, it ended up finding it, and you see how this one says not initialized. That is the one, and it says Samsung SSD, so you know that this one that's grayed out above it, you can't pick that one. So you have to pick one of the other ones, and obviously we're not going to pick the very small one. And it's empty, not initialized, so we click next. And now you're having a before and an after picture of what your hard drive is going to do. Right now it is empty, and it is going to look like this when it is complete. There we go. Proceed. And I'm going to fast forward through this, but I'm hoping this is going to take a lot less time. And it looks already, we can already see a progress bar. So yeah, I should have done this in the very beginning. So yes, I should have done this in the very beginning. It's looks like it's going a lot faster. I don't think I'm going to be here an hour. Probably 10-20 minutes at the most. And I mean, we're still going from a mechanical hard drive over to an SSD. So yeah, I'm getting kind of excited to see how fast this is in comparison. So I will put this back on. I'll turn the camera back on when this is either close to complete, if I can catch it in time, or right after it completes. And I'll let you know about how long it takes. It's done. Alright guys, so as you can see, it has successfully cloned, and all we're going to do is click OK, if we can here. And that's it. You could have clicked shut down computer at the end if you want. I don't know why I never do that. But now what we're going to do is power this thing off by holding the power button in. Or you can go around the back and just unplug the power cord, which is what I'm going to do anyway, because now I have to switch over the hard drive, unplug the old one, unplug the old hard drive, and plug in the new hard drive temporarily. I want to see how fast this thing boots, make sure it boots, and then I can pull the whole cage out, take the old hard drive completely out, put the new one in, and actually, you know what? I may leave the old one right in there, so he has that backup if he needs it. And by the way, if I waited and talked an extra minute here, it took about 25-26 minutes to clone that. Alright, hard drive is switched out. We got the new one hooked up. Let's see how long it takes to boot. Now the first time, it may boot a little longer because it doesn't have the drives for it, but also what we're going to do is install Samsung Magician software after this too. And also it's going to need probably a firmware update and stuff like that. There we go. We're at the desktop in 30 seconds with all of our icons loaded, and we are able to navigate. I say that's a success. That is significantly better. If this had nothing on it, it was Windows brand new install, it would probably boot in about 15 to 20 seconds, but he's got some programs in there. So, and that was just the first boot of about 30 seconds, 35 seconds at the most, till we could really navigate. Yeah, that's really good. So I'm happy with that. Now we're going to install the Samsung Magician software, which is going to benefit this Samsung SSD even more so. We can turn on probably rapid mode, and it might get even a little bit faster. So I'm going to do probably one more boot test with you guys, and then we're going to wrap this video up. So just stick around a little longer. All right, so right after this, I have some closing comments, but I needed to add this video clip in here because I realized when I started editing that I had a video missing for the Magician software for installing it and telling you about the update button. So when you install Samsung Magician software, you're going to have a little update button at the bottom left-hand corner, as you can kind of see right here. And when an update is available, you'll notice a little N next to it, and I believe it's like a colored like red or something. I don't know if it's white or red or whatever color it is, but it'll have a little N next to it, and that'll signify that there is an update available, and you need to click on it and go ahead and install that firmware for your new hard drive or however many hard drives you have in there. All of them may not need it. It may just be one hard drive. So I just wanted to let you guys know, because in my closing comments I mentioned this, and there's no scrolling back to any spot in the video that actually had this. So this is it right here, and you can kind of see the little update button. You'll go ahead and you'll just click on it, and you'll see one of these may require an update if there is a little N next to this. So anyways, guys, I hope that helped, and just watch the following closing comments, and take care. Alright, so I just did another reboot, and the time didn't really change. It stayed right at 35 seconds till I was able to navigate and click on stuff, and it was able to open. So, but we went from 3 minutes and 30 seconds, roughly, maybe even 4 minutes, down to 35 seconds. I mean, that is a significant increase in performance. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. The only thing I might do off camera here is hook it up to the internet and install or open up the Magician software again and check for any firmware updates for that. And the way you check that is if you just rewind this video a little bit and you go and you open up that Magician software, down in the bottom left-hand corner, there's going to be a little red N. And that's going to signify that there is an update available, and you should download it at your earliest convenience and install it. It will install it, download it, install itself. You don't have to do anything about it. You just have to kind of click OK, confirm, update, whatever it is in there. So yeah, that's the only thing I'm going to do off camera. It's pretty simple. And that Magician software, you can download, like I said, right at Samsung Magician software download. Just type that into Google or Bing or whatever your search engine is, and one of the first links should take you right to that. You can download it, put it on a thumb drive, put it on another computer, or install it right on your computer. It's an executable file, so it's a .exe file, so it doesn't, that particular download, it's going to install on your computer, but it's a very small download. It's not very big. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. Don't forget to like and share this, and also feel free to leave a comment down below. I usually get back to everybody if it's a good question, and I try to be pretty consistent on that if I can. So other than that, take care, guys.